I need to ask you something and I want you to answer it honestly here. What did you charge for your last coaching package? And when you set that number, what happened in your body? Did you feel confident and certain? Or did you feel tightness in your chest, hear that little voice in your head saying this is too much? Wondering if they're gonna laugh at you? Or thinking if I charge it any higher, they're just not gonna buy because I might not be good enough. Now, if that second voice sounded more familiar, then this video is for you. Because here is what I want you to know before we go any further. You do not have a pricing problem like you think you do. You actually have a self-concept ceiling. And the two things look almost identical from the outside, but they actually require completely different solutions. So when you are dealing with a self-concept ceiling, strategy alone is not going to fix it. And that means that you don't need another pricing calculator or to watch another webinar about your niche. And that is because they won't actually do the trick. So stay with me here because by the end of this video, I want you to know exactly what is happening, but more importantly, that there is relief on the other side. I've been there, so trust me, I get it, but I also know what relief feels like too. Okay, let me tell you where I first learned this lesson, and it wasn't in my coaching business. I actually used to sell on Etsy, and that is where I got my first taste of being an entrepreneur. Back then, what I was doing is something that I see so many coaches today doing right now. I was pricing at the bottom. And it wasn't because my product wasn't worth it. I was actually selling a more boutique product, but I was pricing low because I was terrified. And what I did was I hid behind the word strategy. And the story I was telling myself is that if I undercut the competition, it was a strategy for me to get chosen, for me to get more momentum, and to get way more sales. And honestly, it made sense in my head. But the real story, and the one that I wasn't saying out loud, was that I believed that there wasn't enough for everyone to go around. And honestly, this is one of the biggest lies and traps that I see today. I truly believed that I would never be seen or chosen if I wasn't the cheapest option. And honestly, underneath all of that too, what I actually believed is that what I was offering just was not good enough for somebody to pay real money for. So for quite a while, I kept the price low and I kept undervaluing myself. And what this eventually led to was me working harder and harder for less and less. And that is because when you are in a race to the bottom on price, that is where everybody eventually goes, because there is always somebody out there who is willing to drop the price even lower. Okay, let's talk about the turning point because eventually I did get sick of my own stuff. And I want to tell you what happened because it still gets me to this day. After I raised my prices, I actually started getting more sales, not less. I was getting more. And I thought that that was so ironic because to me at the time, it just did not make any sense. But now, looking back in hindsight from what I know now through a money mindset lens and a business strategy lens, it makes complete and utter sense. Because the customers that I actually wanted, the ones who valued what I was doing, the ones who would treat my boutique items with care, and who would eventually come back multiple times, they were not the kind of customers who were value shopping for the cheapest option. They were actually looking for the right option. And my low price was actually signaling the wrong thing to them because it was raising concerns about my quality, about my customer service, and about my ability to last as a business owner. So what raising my prices did was not just bring me more revenue, but over time it brought me the ability to leverage my time, which meant less work, more freedom, and customers who felt aligned with what I wanted at the time. You see, it took me a while to understand why this actually worked, and it wasn't until I was deep into the work that I do now, which is mindset work, somatic work, and business strategy, until I truly understood what was happening. But that's when I realized that the pricing struggles I was having on Etsy were not fully just business decisions. It was actually my nervous system making that decision for me because it was trying to keep me safe. And that is exactly what is happening for you right now. So let me tell you what I actually see when I work with coaches who are undercharging. Firstly, I see potential, I see capability, and I see women with real gifts, real results, and a real transformation to offer. And I see all of it being held back by something that feels invisible to them. I hear it constantly being described as like an invisible fence around their business or a glass ceiling that they just can't see, but they keep hitting. And it's so frustrating because they can see exactly where they want to go, and all of the people around them can see it too, and they're rooting for them. But something inside keeps stopping them right at the edge. And when we begin working together and I start to dig into what that fence is made of, it is almost always a story that comes from a long time ago. The first one that I see all of the time is the story that says, if I charge more, I'm going to alienate the people that I love. You see, maybe you grew up in a family where money was tight, and that meant that people who charged high prices were viewed as greedy or out of touch. And so subconsciously, some of you are so worried that stepping into your worth means stepping away from the place that you came from. And the second one I see, and this is one that people don't talk about enough because it's very uncomfortable, is the fear of being laughed at. I know, as a grown woman, we're not supposed to say that we're scared of being laughed at. And what I'm going to say here might sting a little bit, but I need you to know that I say it with so much love. But when it all comes down to it, a lot of coaches are scared to charge higher prices because of their ego. And I know that sounds backwards, but this is what I mean. You have seen this happen. Somebody posts their offer. Maybe this person is new, maybe they're spiritual, or maybe she's building something that still only she can see, but nobody else can see it yet. And while the comments online are supportive, there are women behind the scenes in private settings, maybe out at lunch together somewhere, and they are scoffing at her. They're stalking her sales page and laughing, saying, who does she think she is? Does she really think she can charge that much? And it is just unfair. But you have witnessed that judgment. You might have even participated in it a little bit, even just passively or without even realizing it. But now that is living inside of you as a fear. And you are thinking, what if they do that to me too? What if I put my real prices out there and people laugh at me? And that fear, that very specific fear of being seen as too much, is keeping you small. But at this point, you are building a business and it is not protecting you anymore. It is actually capping you. And here's the thing that no pricing course is ever going to tell you. Your price is not just a math problem, it is also your nervous system's output. Because when you sit down to set your prices and you start to feel that tightness in your chest or that drop in your stomach, that is not your intuition telling you that your price is wrong. It is actually your nervous system flagging your expansion as a coach and a business owner as danger. And this is because expansion is unfamiliar and your nervous system is wired to keep you in familiar territory, even when this familiar territory is keeping you broke. And your business cannot grow faster than your nervous system feels safe doing. And that wasn't a motivational quote. It is literally just the mechanism. So now I want to tell you what happened the moment that I finally stepped through the fear. I kept waiting for everything to just crash and burn, that everything I had built would just go away and the customers would dry up. But in reality, I ended up being fine. I was actually more than fine. I ended up thriving in that Etsy business, and I just had to come to the realization that I had been telling myself a fake story that entire time. Just a completely made up story about what would happen if I believed that I was worth more. And that is the relief that I want for you. I don't want you to just have a higher number on a sales page. I want you to feel confident in the prices you are setting, in the offer that you have built. But more importantly, I want you to feel confident in the worthiness of receiving it. Because here's what's true. If you have a value-packed offer, a story to share, and a real transformation to give, you are allowed to charge for it. And you as a person are worthy of receiving for it. And finally, your business is worthy of growing to however big you want to scale it. Okay, so here's where I want to leave you today. The next time that you go to set a price, before you open the spreadsheet, compare yourself to any other coaches, or do anything strategic, which is very important, but I want this next part to happen before. I want you to ask yourself this one question, and that is, what price would I set if I was absolutely certain that I was worth it? All right, and then after you ask that question, just notice what is coming up. You don't have to take action on it today, but just notice it. Because that number that both excites you and scares you at the same time, it is usually a lot closer to the truth than the one that you've been settling for. Okay, now if you've watched this whole video and now you're thinking, cool, but how do I actually shift to this? Because knowing it and doing it are completely different things. You are right, and that is exactly what I help coaches do inside of my program, Rewired for Revenue. Inside, we do the business work and the inner work because you need both. And if you want to know more about Rewired for Revenue, my link is below. But if you want to keep going down the YouTube train right now, my next video is going to walk you through 3 specific money patterns that I keep seeing that are keeping coaches stuck under 5K months. Most coaches are running at least 2 of them without even knowing it, and I will show you how to spot yours. I'll see you there.